Democrats trying to undo the election, regardless of facts.
Well, we know it's not illegal. What crime was violated? Can you name one?
Attacking the president by any means necessary.
The entire whistleblower complaint is based on hearsay. This seems to me like a political setup.
Fabricating evidence.
Adam Schiff, in the middle of a committee hearing, making crap up.
None of those things are in this transcript.
It's nothing short of a coup, and it must be stopped.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome. How are you tonight? It is almost Tuesday. It's still Monday night. Good to see you, Tracy, David, everybody in the audience on D-Live, Periscope, and Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. So welcome. Just I jump on real quick because there's been a couple of interviews. There was a ceremony with the president. But first, I want to start off with BLM is funded by the terrorist Clinton, of course. And we are going to start with Huckabee.
Shalom, this is Governor Mike Huckabee, and I hope you've heard of the wonderful things that God is doing. All right, from the pages of MikeHuckabee.com, a place to make sense of a news cycle that feels more like a washing machine spin cycle these days, let's take another look back at the week that was. And by the way, you can have my wit and wisdom delivered right to your email inbox. Just signing up for my totally free newsletter is delivered twice daily for 2 doses of sanity every single day. Well, we're finding out more and more about what the Black Lives Matter group is all about. How do we know? Well, the founders will tell you flat out. They're committed Marxist. But what's been murky till now is, where does their money come from? And where does it go? But we know now it's the pet project of a 501c3 or a nonprofit organization promoting alternative economies and climate justice. It's called Thousand Currents. Or as Tucker Carlson reported this week, the vice chair for fundraising of Thousand Currents is Susan Rosenberg, a convicted terrorist. She spent 16 years in federal prison, that is until she was pardoned by none other than Bill Clinton, on his last day in office. So there you have it, a Marxist terror group that wants to overthrow our country. Don't take my word for it. Those are the words of former New York Police Department Commissioner Bernard Kerik. He knows a thing or two about terrorism, having led the country's largest police department on 9/11. And let's have a quick check-in on Basement Joe. The DNC knows a dithering, doddering Joe Biden would be a train wreck on the debate stage. So Tom Friedman of the New York Times actually wrote an op-ed this week that many are interpreting as a trial balloon to see if Americans will actually buy the DNC's feeble excuses for Biden staying hidden in his basement right up until Election Day, and for not going out and debating President Trump. Basement Joe is confused about all this, though. He thinks he already debated President Trump in 1949. So, yeah. Well, from the Twitterverse, where you can follow me at Gov Mike Huckabee, comes these moments of madness. This past week, actor Terry Crews stood up for those who have lost family members in America through gun violence on our city's streets. He felt Black Lives Matter should have stood up against these needless shootings, along with continuing the protest against rogue police. Well, news agenda advocate Don Lemon on CNN invited Terry Crews on his CNN show to straighten him out. Here's what he said.
The Black Lives Matter movement was started because it was talking about police brutality. If you want an all Black Lives Matter movement that talks about gun violence in communities, including, black communities, then start that movement with that name. But that's not what Black Lives Matter is about.
Well, Mr. Lemon, may you one day find the strength of character and compassion to join with Terry Crews and stand for every black life, no matter the threat or where it comes from. I hope you can do that. And we also want to give a shout out to some progressive intellectuals. Yep, you heard me right. Harry Potter creator J.K. Rowling, author Salman Rushdie, and noted libertarian socialist Noam Chomsky and feminist Gloria Steinem are some of the 150 who signed a letter on justice and open debate that was printed in Harper's this week. They say they support a needed reckoning on racial justice, but believe it's fueled the sifting of open debate. The letter denounces public shaming and ostracism and a binding moral certainty. These brave liberal men and women go on to state, and I quote, "The free exchange of information and ideas, the lifeblood of a liberal society, is daily becoming more constricted," and that they uphold the value of robust and even caustic counter speech from all quarters. In the end, what they're calling for is something we used to call freedom of speech and an end to swift and severe retribution in response to perceived transgressions of speech and thought. They believe the cancel culture is causing creative people to avert from taking risk in their work for fear of losing their livelihood. Well, I never thought I'd say this in my lifetime, but I'm right there with you, Noam and Gloria, because if we don't stand together for the First Amendment and your right to say what I don't agree with and vice versa, the beginning of the end of the great American experiment is here. And finally, as we continue to respect the calls of American protesters for fairness and justice in the prosecution of George Floyd's murder, there are others who have tried to appropriate this moment for anarchy and destruction of our government. That's why it's very valuable for us to revisit the words of a great civil rights